Ice sings like cathedral glass, a seam in the world opening. Taught my lungs to shatter, to drink the needle of the storm. A graveyard made of moonlit silence, where even screams are never born. I walked with ghosts behind my shoulders, I wore my maker like a chain, then found a crack in frozen midnight, a door that whispered out my name. Blue fire in the ice, no sermon, no command, just a wound in creation I could finally understand. If the world won't keep me, I'll step where it can see. So I walk through the white gate into a land of iron breath. They flinch, but it's not that old terror, not the holy hate of death. Their eyes are hard, their hearts are guarded, yet something in them holds its ground. And for the first time since lightning, I feel the world not screaming around. The sky is darker, older, like it remembers every war. Cold castles claw the mountain ridges, wolves in stone that watch the shore. They call me monster with their posture, but not with prayers to burn me clean. They've seen worse things move in shadow, so I am dreadful, not obscene. In that other life I was a mirror, men refused to face it all. Here the nightmares wear their banners, and the brave still sometimes fall. So I walk through the white gate into a land of iron breath. They flinch, but it's not that old terror, not the holy hate of death. Their eyes are hard, their hearts are guarded, yet something in them holds its ground. And for the first time since lightning, I feel the world not screaming around. I hear their stories in the tavern smoke of long winters, starving kings of blades that sing, of oaths that break, of crows with blackened wings. They fear the dark beyond the firelight, they fear the cold that comes alive. If fear is common currency, then maybe I can pay and survive. I am not holy, I am not forgiven, but I have hands, and I can choose what they become. A child threw stones, then hesitated, as if he'd learned the cost of hate. woman stared, then crossed herself. But she did not call for my death. A soldier tightened on his spear haft, yet muttered, "Seven, what are you? Not kill it, not abomination, just a question, sharp and new." Maybe in a world of brutal winters there's room for brutal grace. Maybe I can be a shadow that guards instead of raises. So I walk through the wide gate and the ice releases me. They fear me, but they do not worship that old blind cruelty. I've been the lesson and the warning, I've been the sinner and the scar. But here beneath these colder heavens I might become more than what you are. No maker's footsteps behind me, no lab light in my eyes, only a heartland breathing slowly, and a monster learning how to live. Not the blue flame of the ice gate, but hot fire smoke that means life. They call me omen in the wheat field, a towering shadow at the plow. Yet hunger makes its own diplomacy, and hands are hands if they can help somehow. So I lifted stones like they were feathers, dragged dead roots out of stubborn land. And when the river ate the bridge beams, I set the timbers back with one clenched hand. To build, not break, to mend the living, with the same strength I used to blunt. Near King's Landing, where the smoke turns gold and dust, I became a rumor with a purpose, a play without a lord's excuse or lust. Brigands came like wolves for easy meat, I answered like the storm answers the sea. Not mercy, not cruelty, just end so the smoke can sleep. Years pass like crows across the skyline, black wings over red-tiled roofs. They still stare when I cross the causeway, still count my scars like silent proofs. But fear here is not a holy fever, not the old world screaming cross. They've seen worse men wear fine armor, so my face is only another cost. And in the market's dust and clamor, a voice spoke soft and did not flinch, as if she'd lived among the broken and learned that monsters also bleed. Near King's Landing, where the smoke turns gold stepped into my winter. Viz in your eyes like steady flame. Not brave like songs, not blind with pity, just human calling me by name. And the world real, because I remember a throat I broke in bridal white, a woman's breath I stole to wound him, to punish God with candlelight. Elizabeth, I turned your love to ashes. A final note in vengeance, him. I wanted him to taste my loneliness, and I became the thing I blamed in him. I carry that scream like iron scripture. I cannot wash it from my hands. No seven, no old saints, no ocean cannot make what I chose to be. One stem. So I told Vizingya the truth, not the softened tale that earns a bed, but the ugly marrow of my history, the lives I took, the vows I bled. If you turn away, I will not curse you. If you stay, you will see my ghosts. She touched the scars I tried to hide, not like a judge, like someone who has cried. And in her eyes I saw a doorway that did not lead to snow or fire. Near King's Landing, where the smoke turns gold at dusk, I dare to be more than my ruin, more than wrath, more than rust. I still have hands that can crush a man, but now they lift the fallen from the mud. I cannot earn forgiveness, yet I can plant a different kind of blood. Not spilled for spite, but spilled to guard. Not love as punishment, but love unscarred. And if the past still howls behind me, let it howl, let it starve, because tonight in Vizingya's quiet I learned the shape of new. I learned the shape of new. Elizabeth, I am sorry. Maker, I am done. Vizingya, teach the stitched heart how to live in the sun. The sky is iron. The earth is a grave that won't stay shut. I came home with dirt on my palms, with a wheat husk caught in my seams, thinking of supper, of laughter, of a life that dared to be clean. The door hung wrong on its hinges, the yard was silence and flies, and the world went hollow in the space between heartbeats and eyes. No smoke from the hearth, only the stench of endings. No voices, only the wet sound of rain descending. I called her name like prayer, and the storm swallowed it whole. They took my mourning, they took my mercy, they carved my home into a ruin of red. Vision, you're my light in the soot of the city. Now the light is gone and the dark is fed, and something old wakes under my ribs. That ancient hunger to make the world pay. If love is a lie, then I'll speak in violence, and I'll hunt the liar down. I found them, still broken, scattered. My family, mine by choice, not by blood. A father's hands that once feared my shadow now lay quiet in the mud. And her, my brave, gentle Vizenya, they left her dignity in the dust. I cannot say it without shattering, so I swallow the words and taste rust. I feel my maker in the lightning, a ghost with a surgeon's grin, mocking, see, you are what I named you. You will never belong among men. They took my mourning, they took my mercy, they carved my home into a ruin of red. Vision, you're my light in the soot of the city. Now the light is gone and the dark is fed, and something old wakes under my ribs. That ancient hunger to make the world pay. If love is a lie, then I'll speak in violence, and I'll hunt the liar down. I dug the earth with hands that once made terror, hands that once mistook revenge for grace. Now every shovel of rain-blackened soil was an apology I couldn't place. I laid them down beneath the weeping branches. I covered them like I could cover my shame. But the storm kept striking, 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 as if the sky itself screamed their names. I am not healed, I am not holy, I am not holy. I am a weapon that learned to love, and now love has been butchered. Tracks in the mud, white as oxen, boot prints that sank like a tyrant's claim. Whispers in taverns, a butcher's laughter, one name repeated like a cursing flame. Clicking. A bigger monster draped in Memphis, a war dog with the king's permission. And I knew then what the world had chosen, to breathe cruelty into tradition. If men won't judge him, then let the storm be my witness. I will become the sentence.
They took my mourning, they took my mercy, so I will take their sleep and their breath. Vizinya, hear me beneath the rain. I will not let this be your death.
Victor's ghost can sneer in the thunder. Call me monster, call me damned, but I loved and they proved I could suffer. So now I swear by these broken hands, I will find Clegane. I will drag him from iron and crown, and when he begs the dark for shelter, I will show him what I am. I buried my family in storm water. I stood until my grief went numb. Then I turned my face toward the city and I walked. Not as a man, but as the reckoning to come. only made. She told me of the lions, gold teeth behind a silken smile, a family that buys the law and calls it peace for a little while. I am no fool of lightning sutures, no wandering grief without a plan. I learned the city's hidden arteries, I learned where power keeps its hands. Not war in Venice, not in daylight, not a challenge shouted through the gate. I bring the old world's lesson with me. Monsters don't need armies, they need patience, they need hate. So let them whisper in King's Landing, something worse than Gregor stalks the night. Not the mountain that walks in armor, but the storm that cannot die in fight. Steel only sings and then it dulls out. Fire only paints me red and bright. I heal, I rise, I come again. I am the consequence of men. I am the lion's new nightmare. I paint the names with quiet mercies, with lifted beams and broken plows, with bread for hungry mouths that never ask why my shadow's shaped like vows. A coin for whispers, a cup for courage, a glance that says I won't betray. The small folk know the taste of Lannister, they know the price of looking away. I do not need their love, I only need their truth. A thread becomes a noose when pulled by hands that never lose. So let them whisper in King's Landing, something worse than Gregor stalks the night. Not the mountain that walks in armor, but the storm that cannot die in fight. Steel only sings and then it dulls out. Fire only paints me red and bright. I heal, I rise, I come again. I am the consequence of men. I am the lion's new nightmare. And in the thunder I hear him laughing, my maker's ghost, my surgeon king. You tried to be a man of hard fire, but see how quickly you become a thing. Victor, your mockery is a blade I swallow, twisting in me with every breath. I loved once and they broke it open, so now I love like an oath to death. I am not justice, I am not clean, I am grief with shoulders like a siege engine. I am the sin you birth and the sin I chose, and the sin that Westeros understands. I watch the gilded rotting corridors, the quiet cruelty dressed as law. Men disappear for lesser offense, so tell me what the lion saw. A girl defiled by power's laughter, a home unmade as if it's sport. They think the world is theirs to butcher. I will teach them nothing is bought. Let ravens choke on rumor, let gold run thin with fear. I will not stop for prayers or pardons, I will not stop for years. So let them whisper in King's Landing, something worse than Gregor stalks the night. Not the mountain that walks in on given a weapon. So hear me, Lannister, hear me, Crown. The age of monsters never ended. It only moved into your town.
Cold brass, wet stone, a city that prays in smoke and never listens. I wore the night like penitence, kept my face beneath the rain, not hiding, measuring, learning which hearts pull which chains. A lion cub with borrowed courage, land so soft, hands, heart sins. You walk with gold as absolution, thinking the world forgets. I remember my own first murder, avenges dressed like truth. I remember the bride in white and the scream that split my youth. I am haunted by my making, but you are haunted by nothing at all. So I came as consequence, not a knight, not a judge, not a plea. Steel bites, men shall pray or scatter, and still they cannot stop me, because I heal where men must end, and fire can make me pure. I am grief-given muscle and patience, and Vezina is my cure. He fought, oh he fought, like panic wearing a sword. He called my name monster, like that word could be a word. But his guard broke like thin ice, his courage cracked on bone. And when the courtyard finally quieted, the lion's laugh was gone. No revelry, no triumph, only the old taste, ash and rust. If you think this is glory, you never carried what I must. So I came as consequence, not a knight, not a judge, not a plea. Steel bites, men shall pray or scatter, and still they cannot stop, because I heal where men must end, and fire can make me pure. I am grief-given muscle and patience, and Vezina is my cure. Victor, do you hear me in the thunder? Do you smile behind the veil? You wanted love, your ghost whispers, and love became your failing. Yes, I failed, I sinned, I made my sorrow into slaughter, and the book still stains my hands. But Vezina, she touched the ruin and did not recoil. She called me home beside the field. She taught my wrath to kneel in soil. And now that lesson burns inside me, not gentleness but direction. If the world will breed men like Gregor, then let my grief become correction. Heaven came like winter discipline, not loud, not cruel, but sure. A lion with a soldier's patience, a hand that steadies the cord. He fought, oh he fought, with the weight of years and duty. But duty cannot stop a storm that learned what men call cruelty. You can't bargain with the wound, you can't command what won't stay dead. And when his strength met mine, the night itself seemed to bow its head. So I came as consequence, and 2 lions fell to silence and rage. Not for sport, not for hunger, for the cost of Visenya's name. I remember every sin I carried, every innocent I turned to grief. And still I walk this darker road because love was brief, but real. And I will not let it be nothing. Laughter in the lightning, and Visenya's light in my eyes.
The bells don't soothe, they warn. Father is ash and stone now, his shadow doesn't cover me. My son is cold in silk and flowers, and the court still pretends to breathe. Tyrion, rat in the walls of the world, gone where my hands can't reach. And yet a worse thing has found me, a punishment beyond my speech. I have lived with wolves in velvet, with vipers wearing saints. But this is not a man with hunger. This is something that doesn't break. They say it's stalking through my city, a thing that will not die. Steel can't keep it, fire can't cleanse it. It comes back with empty eyes. Gregor is a blunt instrument, a mountain muscle bone. But this is worse than Gregor, a wrath that walks alone. Lancel, Kevin, and with them the last thin stitch that held my house together. The red keep creaks like an old lie. Every corridor a throat. My guards watch shadows, watch my guards. Even daylight feels like oh. They whisper monster curse revenant. They cross themselves and flee. But I know what it really is. A demon sent for me.
pray to cruelty and call it order, call it peace. I have watched the small folk bend like grass while nobles feast and feast and feast. Do they think I'm made of pity? Do they think I've never bled? I built this throne from broken promises, and I won't betray instead. Who opened doors in smiling traitor holds the key. A Tyrell, a sparrow, some soft-handed lord who wants the lion on its knees. No, this is older than their scheming. This is not politics. This is vengeance wearing patience. A curse that lies, a curse that rises. I hear it in the rain, I see it in the candle flame. A giant in the dark, unburning, and every time I blink it's closer. Joffrey died and the gods were laughing. Yes, I felt them laugh that day. They took my sweetness, left me iron, then dared to call me cruel that way. Now something comes that doesn't bargain, doesn't kneel for gold or fear. And I hate it most for this one reason: it makes my powers disappear. But I am Cersei of House Lannister. I do not fold, I do not beg. If it wants my throat, it will earn it in candlelight and blood red dread. Let it come, this worse than Gregor, this demon in my halls. I'll crown the fear, I'll weaponize it, I'll turn the city into walls. I'll name it heresy and darkness, I'll make the septon sing. Because if I can't kill the nightmare, then I will rule the screaming. But this is worse than Gregor, a wrath that walks alone. My spawn is gone. Tyrion runs and still the candles burn, not to comfort me, but to show the demon where I
One hand on the hilt, one hand gone, and still the vows keep screaming. I used to be a blade with a man attached, a golden boy in white. They sang my name like it meant something, honor polished bright. Now I'm learning weight and absence, learning balance with a ghost, a stump that throbs in every heartbeat, like a debt I can't outgrow. I've bled for crowns, for whispered lies, for love that tastes like rust. But fear, real fear, is different than the fear you trust. This thing in our shadows, it doesn't want to throw it comes for Cersei, if it comes for the people in our streets, I will stand between them one-handed and make my fear a shield of tears. Because I have killed a king before, I know what monsters look like around. I ended one man's mad apocalypse to keep a city from burning down. But this is worse than any throne room terror, worse than wildfire, worse than flame. Because you cannot reason with a wound that remembers every name. Call me Kingslayer, fine, I'll take the curse again. If I can put down this newer darkness, even with one hand, even if it kills me when I stopped a king, now I face a consequence. And for the first time since the throne room, I don't know if a sword is enough.
Blackwater wind, red keep stone, one-handed lion, oath broken bone. I do not hunt the young, let the songs remember that. I was born from stolen mercy, I will not steal what can't fight back. But men who build their world on slaughter, men who stand between me and the truth, they become the cost of walking forward. They become the hinge on which fate moves. They told me you were golden, a legend wrapped in white. They told me you killed a king once to save a city from the firelight. So I came not as a butcher hungry, but as a storm that's learned to choose. A monster with a rule, a monster with a wound. Lannister, Kingslayer, you stand with one hand and a lion's pride. You're brave enough to face the darkness, but not brave enough to see the rot inside. And I don't want to do this, I don't sing for your blood, but Vision's grave is calling, so I answer like thunder should. He fought like a man already condemned, steel flashing like a prayer in motion, a prayer that never quite reached them. One hand guiding, one hand missing, but the will behind him iron sure. And for a heartbeat in the rain, I almost wished he could endure. Because I remember my own first choices, how revenge dressed up as right. I remember the innocent I ruined to punish a coward's flight. I carry that book like a chain in my marrow, and you carry yours the same. Different sins, same stain. Jaime Lannister, Kingslayer, you stand with one hand and a lion's pride. You're brave enough to face the darkness, but not brave enough to see the rot inside. And I don't want to do this, I don't sing for your blood, but Vision's grave is calling, so I answer like thunder should. Burn them all, your mad king whispered, and you silenced him with steel.
feel. I know that moment, Jamie, I know the shape of what is real. A choice that damns you to save the many, a sin you swallow like a blade. But then you went back to the lions, back to the gold that never paid. You guarded the mouth that fed the monster, you kept the gates for crown decay. You stood too long beside the wrong ones, and now the dead has come to stay. I gave the world my gentlest years. Once I tried to build, I tried to kneel. They answered with a house-made massacre, and now I cannot unfeel.
I am not justice.
I am not clean, I am love turned into a weapon, and you are the blade that stepped between. When it had ended, ended like winter, not pretty, not kind, not slow. The lion's guard became empty metal, and the courtyard held its breath below. He fell with his eyes still defiant, still trying to stand in the rain. And I looked down at what I'd done and tasted that old familiar shame. Victor's ghost in the thunder again, laugh and see you cannot change. But Vision's voice inside my ribs says finish what the guilty made. So I do not celebrate the ending, I only carry it and move. Jaime Lannister, Kingslayer, you fought like a man who knew the cost. If there was honor left in your name, it died tonight and I feel the loss. I won't touch the children, I won't stain that line, but I will tear down every throne that shelters the ones who made her die. And I don't want to be this thing, but I am what the world has proved. A storm that learns, a storm that remembers, a storm that does not lose. One lion left, one crown left to scream. I walk toward the highest chamber with Visenya in my heart, and the old book burning in my dreams.
The air is high enough that screams should not reach it, and yet I wear another name like armor, line and silk that doesn't fit. I smile the way they taught me smiling, and bury what my mouth won't admit. Because I remember King's Landing, perfume over hot gold over knife, Joffrey's grin like a sharpened chalice, Cersei's love like a caged tide. And I remember weddings, red as spills on snow. I learned the world can sing you lullabies while it strangles you slow. Tidings, lions falling one by one, not by war, not by banners, by something the dark a sword. Jaime, broken-handed lion, cut down like he was nothing more. I should feel lighter, I should feel safer, I should breathe like girls in songs. But all I feel is winter moving through the cracks where trust belongs. I knew the Hound, I saw what fear looks like in a man. But this sounds like fear with patience, fear that thinks, fear that plans. Now ravens come with broken tidings, lions falling one by one, not by war, not by banners, by something the dark has sent. And I don't share, no I don't, my heart has learned what vengeance costs. Because if a monster hunts monsters, the realm still bleeds for what is lost. I dreamed once of knights and justice, of songs that end in gentle light. I woke with my father's head on spikes and learned honor doesn't win a fight. I watched men die for other men's pride, watched mercy drown beneath the cord. And now the cord is tasting terror like sour wine it can't spit out. Little birds still trade their whispers, lords still play at pretty wars. But there is something in the story that makes my blood turn cold as floors. It will not die, it does not bargain, it does not bow for gold or crowns. It walks through steel like through a curtain and leaves the mighty quiet on the ground. If this is justice, it is cruel. If this is vengeance, it is hungry. And if it ever turns its gaze north, what could stop it? So let the veil keep its high walls, let the snow hide every track. I have seen what comes for children, I have felt a kingdom crack. And I will not be a girl in a tower waiting for the next night's kiss, because something deadlier than the Hound is stalking through the lion's den. And the realm will learn this truth. When monsters start killing monsters, the innocent still pay the due. I press my hand to the cold window, watch clouds bruise over mountain spine, and whisper to the snow, to the old gods, to anything still listening. Please let it end. Please, not like last time.
Not a gate of ice this time, a gate of history, and it won't close.
Is the last bright tooth in the crown, the last lie holding up the hall. I didn't come here to be legend, I came to bury what they did to all. Yet every road I walk becomes a battlefield, every whisper becomes a spear. Men with torches, men with prayers, men who call me demon as they kneel in fear. They wanted a monster, so the world kept feeding me men. Dozens became hundreds, and still the storm rose again. And I hate what I've become in the rain, a miracle that only makes graves. I heal, I rise, I can't be finished, so they died thinking they were brave. I wanted a life, I wanted a home, now all I leave is silence behind. And the last lioness waits in her tower, while I drown in the sins of my kind. I remember a face in candlelight, Visinya's hands that didn't shake, her father's voice softening like spring, as if even I could be remade. And I remember the book I carry, Victor's ink like a chain of lead. The wedding bed I turned into a tomb to punish my maker's heart instead. Regret is not a river that washes you clean, it's a stone you drag, and every step makes deeper tracks. And I hate what I've become in the rain, a miracle that only makes graves. I heal, I rise, I can't be finished, so they died thinking they were brave. I wanted a life, I wanted a home, now all I leave is silence behind. And the last lioness waits in her tower, while I drown in the sins of my kind. I stand on a hillside above the city, fists clenched so hard the stitches sing. Lightning writes my name in the clouds, like a curse the heavens bring. Below the roads are thick with hunters, with watchers, with men who want my bones. They do not see the truth of me. I never wanted this throne of stones, but I know where the mountain breeze now, where Gregor's shadow drinks and rots. A bigger beast with a smaller soul, a butcher prays for what he's not. And if I turn aside for him, if I chase that peak of hate, the lioness survives to breed more monsters, so the lioness must meet her fate. I am tired, I am endless, and I am still angry. So let the rain baptize the broken, let the lightning crown my grief. I will walk into the red keep's heartbeat and tear the lie out by its teeth. Not for joy, not for glory, not to feel my power shine, but because love taught me what was stolen, and I will not call theft divine. Last lioness, I come with sorrow in my hands, and when the candles gutter out, remember this if you can. I tried to be a man, they made me war. Now I am the house that worship monsters, and I leave this world still wanting more. On the hillside, I inhale the storm. The city trembles like a guilty throne. One last door, one last name, and then Gregor.
The Red Keep is a throat tonight, and it cannot swallow what's coming. Corpses before, and called it rule and called it peace. I have watched men die for my decisions, and never once begged the gods to cease. But now the halls are wrong, too quiet, too empty for a queen to breathe. And every candle stares like witness at the ruin I cannot unsee. Shame is gone, my father is gone, my son is gone, my golden boy. The world has taken everything I loved and left me only noise. So come, you shadow in the stormlight, you devil stitched from night and grave. Look at what you've done to my house, to my blood, to my name. I am Cersei of House Lannister. I do not kneel, I do not pray, but even lions learn what fear is when the dark walks in and will not stay. My guards led you like they were loyal, steel raised, courage borrowed thin, and you move like judgment without mercy, like something that doesn't end. Now the marble is slick with endings, and the gold cloaks won't meet my eyes, because they saw the truth behind their armor. A crown is nothing when the world is saved. Is this Tyrion's work? Is this some foreign god? Is this the stranger wearing flesh, or is it worse? A lesson I cannot buy my way out of. So come, you shadow in the stormlight, you devil stitched from night and grave. Look at what you've done to my house, to my blood, to my name. I am Cersei of House Lannister. I do not kneel, I do not pray, but even lions learn what fear is when the dark walks in and will not stay. I loved in the only way I was taught, with teeth, with chains, with a clenched fist. I love my children like a drowning woman loves the air she cannot kiss. And I love Jamie, Seven save me, yes, my mirror, my blade, my sin. Now he is gone and the world is laughing, and you are standing where he's been. Tell me why you stand before me, rain in your hair, lightning clawing at your silhouette, a nightmare giving shoulders and intent, a curse I cannot kill or forget. And you speak a name like it's scripture, like it should break my heart into Visenya. I almost laugh at the sound of it, another little tragedy to add to the queue.
Visenya,
A peasant,
love of her.
a lie. Do you think that name is a crown I should fear? Do you think that sorrow is mine to answer? I have buried kings and gods. Who are you to judge me here? So come then, monster, take your ending, take your vengeance, take your due. But know this, I was forged in fire, and I will burn inside you too. I built this world on sharpened choices, on fear that wore a gilded face. And if my story dies tonight, it dies with teeth, it dies with grace.
red keep exhales, a candle dies, and nothing feels like victory. Demon, spat a name I held like prayer. Her grief was sharp, her heart was empty, a lioness with nothing left to spare. I move like lightning learns to move, no speech, no sermon, no delay. And in the sudden stillness after, her breath went out and would not stay. No law, no justice, no warmth in the bone deep cold, only the sound of rain deciding what stories will be told. And I feel no joy, none, I only feel the weight. A kingdom calls it vengeance, but vengeance is just grief that's late. I wanted her to understand me, but she died without a prayer. And I stand above her ending with tears that no one sees in there. Because I remember another chamber, a bridal bed in candlelight. Elizabeth, my maker's mourning, I stole a breath to make him right. I remember William in the snow, a child's small throat beneath my hands, and Justine sleeping innocent while I planted proof like poison sand. I framed her to wound a coward, to carve my loneliness in law. And when the rope took what I started, I learned what monster truly saw. And I feel no joy, none, I only feel the weight. A kingdom calls it vengeance, but vengeance is just grief that's late. I wanted her to understand me, but she died without a prayer. And I stand above her ending with tears that no one sees in there.
Do you lean on beyond the storm?
Your lesson followed me through worlds, that making life does not make love, that hate is easier to perform. I tried to become a better thing, I tried to farm, to build, to mend, and still the world pulled knives on sight, and still it drove me to this end. I am not cleansed, I am not forgiven, I am only still alive. Footsteps in halls, a distant shouting, too late, too far, too slow. They'll search the chamber, find her broken, call it madness, call it foe. But I am already in the rain, already past the torchlight's reach, a shadow stitched to moving thunder, a sin that learned to leave no speech. One corpse remains where power sat, and nothing in me sings, only a name like iron in my mouth. Gregor, the mountain, lightning splits the sky. It points the road ahead. Now it is time for Gregor to die.
I've seen ghosts in men's eyes. I've seen gods in gold. But this is something else. They call me hound like it's a collar, like a man is nothing but his body. I learned early what the world is. Sharp steel and strong arms, end of night. Then my brother put fire on my face and the flames wrote laws into my skin. So don't preach to me about monsters. I grew up with one in my kin. Gregor's a mountain made of cruelty, a butcher wearing lordly name. And all my life I waited for someone to finally make him king. And now there's a thing in the rain. Not night, not man, not prayer. A scarred abomination walking like death for God to keep it there. I hate it, I fear it, I understand it too. Because if anyone can end my brother, it's the one that won't stay dead. It's the one that won't burn. I watched it from afar in torchlight, watched men throw courage like bread to wolves. Steel went in, steel came out, and the thing just kept moving. No swagger, no song, no boasting, just a silence that made my teeth grind. Like it wasn't here to win a fight, it was here to finish a line. I've seen killers laugh, I've seen killers beg. This one doesn't do either, and that's what knocks my stomach dead. And now there's a thing in the rain. Not night, not man, not prayer. A scarred abomination walking like death for God to keep it there. I hate it, I fear it, I understand it too. Because if anyone can end my brother, it's the one that won't stay dead. It's the one that won't burn. I used to think the worst curse was fire, that nothing ever hurt like flame. But I'm looking at a body sown with lightning, a face that makes mine look tame. And I realize the gods have a sense of humor. They send me something more scarred than me to do what all my rage and steel could never guarantee. He's not from here. You can feel it, like a wrong note in a familiar song. And I don't know if he's justice, but he sure as hell isn't mercy. The small folk whisper, demon, demon. The highborn whisper, scheme, scheme me. I just see a weapon that doesn't care who's wearing the crown. And that should scare me more than it does, because I've dreamed of Gregor dying since I was small enough to hide behind a door and cry. So when it passes near the alleys, when that stitched shadow crosses my path,
I don't raise my sword to stop it. I step aside and let it have its wrath. Yeah, there's a thing in the rain. Not night, not man, not prayer. A scarred abomination walking like death forgot to keep it there. And I hate it, I fear it, but I know this much is true. Gregor made me what I am, and this other monster might finally make Gregor mean what monsters do. If it ends him for good, maybe the fire in my face finally cools. I am the screaming swallow. I am the boot on the throat of song. They call me mountain like it's worship, like stone can't bleed, like stone can't break. I split the world with simple answers, a swing, a crush, a life to take. I've watched knights pray behind their visors. I've watched brave men turn their eyes. Fear is a field I harvest daily, and mercy is a word that dies. But I saw it far off in rain and ruin, a shape that didn't flinch from steel. A bigger kind of wrongness walking, and for the first time I could feel. I do not run, I do not kneel, I do not crawl from what I've done. Let the realm whisper demon fine, I've broken worse than anyone. I'm Gregor Clegane, mountain built for war, born for the throne's command. And if death is coming wrapped in stitches, the death will learn my name firsthand. I've taken castles like they were toys, turned pride to ash and called it sport. I've made the mighty beg for seconds, while the small folk paid the court. I've heard the pleas, I've heard the sobbing, music for a beast like me. They say my sins could drown the riverlands. I say good, let it be. Yet my men avoid my gaze now, not from reverence, from doubt, because the thing I saw keeps coming and it doesn't burn out. I do not run, I do not kneel, I do not crawl from what I've done. Let the realm whisper demon fine, I've broken worse than anyone. I'm Gregor Clegane, mountain built for war, born for the throne's command. And if death is coming wrapped in stitches, the death will learn my name firsthand. I face spears, I face screams, I face men with gods in their eyes. They all fall the same when you teach them pain is wise. But this is different. This is not a man. This is a wound that learned to walk, a storm that has a plan. I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I can cut it down. Can't I? Thunder rolls like drums of judgment, and there it is in the curtain of rain. Patchwork shoulders, lightning in the scars, a quiet that makes battle feel profane. He holds a sword like it's a promise, not to kings, not to gold.
I know. I do not run, hear me. I will not give him that feast. If fear has finally found my throat, then fear will choke on the beast. I'm Gregor Clegane Mountain. I am cruelty made into a man, and I refuse to believe a stitch-up nightmare can bring an empire down my head. So come then, abomination, come and try to take my breath. I've killed too many to be punished. I've lived too hard to learn of death. Yet the rain tastes like iron, and the thunder won't stop. And somewhere deep beneath my armor, something small is whispering. The city holds its breath. Even the rain has sounds afraid. I saw the hound at the edge of torchlight, a stark man with a scarred stare. A hatred shaped into a lifetime, standing like he didn't know to pray in there. I gave him nothing but a glance, not mercy, not friendship, not time. Because the mountain was already moving, and my blood remembered his cry. Ray of Clegane came like the landslide, their intestine, blade and bone. His roar shook the alley stones, but I the loudest storms I heard. So let him rage, let him slay, let him believe his death and steel. I am the fiend that doesn't finish. I am the wound that learns to heal. Beat and break man, beat and break world. He cannot break what isn't made to stay. Not this time, not tonight. Not after hitting you. It was brutal, gods, it was brutal. Rain turned black where the blows fell hard. His blade found flesh, my body answered. Stitches singing like snapped wire. He formed like a beast with nothing left except pride and the taste of fear. And for a heartbeat I felt his strength, and the whole world seemed too near. But strength is not the same as ending, and cruelty is not the same as pain. I am warm through fire and winter. He is only me behind the gate. So let him rage, let him scream, let him believe his death and steel. I am the thief that doesn't finish. I am the wound that learns to heal. He can break men, he can break worlds, but he cannot break what isn't made to stay. Not this time, not tonight. Not after Virginia. I remembered Elizabeth. the bride I stole from my maker's arms. I remembered William in the snow, Justine sleeping, innocent calm. My sins marched Livki into battle, a chorus that never leaves. And still I can't watch that to be done, because the living deserve to I coughed, I drove him down. No peace, no mercy. Now and when it ended fully. No legend left to crawl away. The mountain's voice became only rain. The mountain's pride became decay. I took the world's worst butcher and made him silence in the mud. And the night did not applaud me. It only drank the blood. I saw Sanders' face. Shock and aura, like the world rewrote itself. But I did not turn back. I did not look for thanks. There was nothing in me to receive it. Only hollowness, an empty place where few used to live. Then a warmth that didn't come from fire, a voice that didn't come from me. Thank you. I finally broke. Tears disappeared into rain as I walked into the dark, leaving a mountain behind me like a bad dream. The death followed It is over.
A year of calm, the kind that hides knives. They said the capital bled itself dry. Lions gone, crowns unsteady, and I smiled like a man at sunrise. Because chaos makes the clever ready, I fed the veil sweet measured whispers. I poured them into cups of wine. Safety, order, winter, all the words that buy you time. I've always known the secret truth. Men are coins that spend themselves. Give them fear, give them want, and they'll crawl to your shelves. I can sell a war with a rumor. I can build a throne from doubt. I can turn a girl into a
my shadow, a line in silk, a rose I kept behind glass. I taught her smiles like dagger work. I taught her how the monsters pass. And I told myself it was mercy, that all my hands were clean enough. But I've kissed truth until it bruised and called the bruise love. The vow was quiet, the world was ripe. I thought I'd finally outrun the blade, until my own men started dying in the night.
I can settle a war
With a rumor,
I can build a throne,
from doubt
I can turn a girl
into a banner, and make the banners all bow down. Gold opens doors, lies close wounds. I've never met a price I couldn't name, until the night stopped listening, and something came that doesn't play my game. At first it was a missing rider, a patrol that didn't return, then blood on snow like spilled confession, then screams behind a shuttered turn. My nights, my pretty veiled nights, so sure their steel was law, but steel is only steel. I learned when the law is something raw. Who did I offend? Who did I buy too cheaply? No, this isn't vengeance you can bargain with. This is something that remembers. I saw it on the ridge in stormlight, a shape that made the rain look small. Hands outstretched like judgment, walking like fated answer to a call. Not a sales word, not a lord's assassin, not a rival's clever knife. A stitched up silence with dead eyes, and in its shadow, no life.
I reach for words like keys, flattery bargains power, but my voice felt thin as parchment in the teeth of that approaching hour.
I can buy death when death won't listen, can't seduce it with a crown, can't threaten it with consequence. It doesn't fear to be cut down. All my ladders end in air, all my schemes are splinters now, because here comes something outside the game, and it doesn't care how.
I built myself from little lies, from borrowed names and broken vows.
And as those hands reach through the rain, I understand the simplest truth. A man like me survives on choice, but a thing like that, is choice made flesh. And it has chosen me.
Stone heights, silk lies, and a girl with winter in her eyes. like clean deception, perfume over old wounds. A castle built to hold the sky, and still it felt like a tomb. I came through men who raised their steel like it could bargain with my bones. They fell, and not from glory, from the simple fact I don't stop. And then I saw her, small, steady, learning how to breathe. A girl wearing someone else's name like armor made of grief. I have seen cages made of iron and cages made of words, and that man's mouth was a prison for every fragile thing he turned. So when he reached for her like purchase, when his eyes made promises of change, I ended him without hesitation, and the storm did not complain. His blood didn't warm me, it didn't soothe my fire. It only proved a truth I hate, that some men live to feed desire. I remembered advising you in the wheat fields, of kindness like a lantern's breath. And I saw that same bruised courage in the star girl facing death. I am not a knight, I am not a saint, I am a consequence in flesh, but I know a predator when I see his smile. I have seen cages made of iron and cases made of words, and that man's mouth was a prison for every fragile thing he turned. So when he reached for her like purchase, when his eyes made promises of change, I ended him without hesitation, and the storm did not complain. I have done unforgivable things, William in the snow, Justine's life traded for my hatred, Elizabeth laid low. I carry those names like stones in water, sinking through every prayer. So when I looked at Sansa Stark, I swore not her, not ever, not here. I will not be the thing that takes, I will be the thing that ends the takers. She stood trembling in the aftermath, eyes wide with old alarms, waiting for my demand, my price, my hand to become harm. But I did not speak of crowns or debts, did not speak of owing or mine. I spoke the simplest truth I had left, a promise that could still be kind. Your home is not a story they can steal. Your name is not a ladder to climb. I will take you to your remaining blood, and if the road is war, then let it be my cross. So I held out my hand, empty, open, not a chain, not a claim, not a test. And in the rain between heartbeats, I felt Virginia's voice in my chest. Protect what you can, walk her out of the dark, let love be something you do, not something you spark. I am not forgiven, I am not clean, but I can still choose what I am now. A shadow with a purpose, a monster who remembers how to Sansa Stark, I said, and did not flinch from her fear. I will take you home. My hand stayed outstretched, steady, waiting.
They said the Boltons were torn apart, not slain in battle, not judged by men, but shredded like a cruel story the gods decided to end. They said a demon walked through Winterfell, and even hardened soldiers prayed. I should have felt relief in my bones, instead I tasted fear unmade. Because I've seen what demons look like. Sometimes they wear crowns, sometimes they wear smiles, sometimes they call you little bird and make a cage out of your name. So when the screams reached the mountain, when the storm broke over the gate, I didn't think rescue, I thought another the fate, another hand that takes another man, that owns another lesson written in pain. Because in my world power always costs you, and safety is a lie you pay to maintain. Petter was speaking soft as honey, telling me which lords to smile at, which truths to swallow, which fears to hide, as if he could teach me how to live with that. Then the corridor filled with thunder, and his men fell like brittle cloth, and Pater folded like paper, like all his cleverness was nothing in the dark. He died right there. No bargain, no last word that mattered. And I stood frozen, a girl again, waiting for the next hand to shatter me. So when the screams reached the mountain, when the storm broke over the gate, I didn't think rescue, I thought another fate, another hand that takes another man, that owns another lesson written in pain. Because in my world power always costs you, and safety is a lie you pay to maintain. He stood there, a giant in rain and ruin, scarred like a battlefield, a face the world would name monster, because it can't name anything it can't control. I saw blood on him, not a crown, not a banner, not a hunger for the throne. And for the first time my fear hesitated, because he didn't look at me like property, he looked at me like for the person. I waited for the demand, for the leash, for the price. He lifted a hand, open, empty, not a fist, not a chain, not a claim. No marry me, no obey, no mine, no smile that turned my skin to shame. And when he spoke, it wasn't honey, it wasn't court, it wasn't Westeros rises like a blade. I came with ash in my bloodline, with names that make the lords go pale. Dothraki thunder at my back, unsullied steel without a tail. And Tyrion, broken in quiet ways, a man whose jokes have learned to choke. He watches the coast like it's a wound that never truly closed. They told me a monster walked these kingdoms. They said he ended lions in the rain. They said a Stark girl found her family because something darker broke her chain. I am the unburned, crowned by fire, but here stands one who will not burn. Drogon feels it in the thunder, in the air that doesn't turn. He lowers his head like a war horse trembling, his flame a swallowed scream. And for the first time since my cradle, I doubt what power means. There he is, stitched by lightning's cruelty, a mountain of scars and quiet rage. No banner, no demand, no kneeling, no hunger for a gilded cage. My colossal shifts like restless wolves. My captains wait for my command, but the dragon at my shoulder will not meet that creature's stand. Because dragons know the ancient truth. Some fires do not conquer all. Some things are born beyond the torchlight, beyond the burn, beyond the fall. I am the unburned, crowned by fire, but here stands one who will not burn. Drogon feels it in the thunder, in the air that doesn't turn. He lowers his head like a war horse trembling, his flame a swallowed scream. And for the first time since my cradle, I doubt what power means. Tyrion whispers, I've seen monsters, but his voice is frayed and thin. He's seen his house devour itself. He's worn the cost of living in their skin. And I remember chained men in marketplace, children crying in the dust. I came to break the world's old wheeling. But what do you do with something you can't crush? I step forward, not as conqueror, not as savior, as a woman asking, what are you? His eyes are storm, water, and sorrow, not worship, not the taste of thrones. And when I speak of judgment war, he answers like a grave of stones. I return the girl to what remained. I ended what I came to end. Now I will go far from here, far from crowns and broken men.
No bargain, no request, no greedy hope behind the vow. Just a monster choosing distance so others can breathe now.
cares what comes through. Night gathers in my bones again, same cold hymn, same ancient stone. Men talk of southern crowns like weather. I listen, but I stand alone, because the true war doesn't need a banner. It doesn't kneel for gold or pride. Out here the dark is honest, and it waits with mouth open wide. Then the raven came, black wings, white message, and the ink hid like a blade. Sansalei, two words that cracked the ice in me. Sansalei, a prayer answered violently, but the rest of it turns my blood to winter, brought home by an abomination. A thing the South calls demon, a thing that leaves no negotiation. I've heard men make monsters out of rumor. I've seen fear dress itself as fact. But ravens don't sing for nothing, and the parchment doesn't take it back. They say it cold, the lions in the rain. That swords are laughter to its skin. And every instinct in me rises. If it turns north, what then? I've seen dead men walk. I've seen blue eyes in corpses. I know the world holds wrongness, and wrongness doesn't always wear a crown. Sansalei, two words that crack the ice in me. Sansalei, a prayer answered violently, but the rest of it turns my blood to winter, brought home by an abomination. A thing the South calls demon, a thing that leaves no negotiation. I remember her as a girl in soft summers, songs and stitches, courts and dreams. Then I remember what the world did to dreams, how quickly pretty things can scream. If something dragged her out of knives and lies, if something chose to save, not claim, then it is not the same as the others. Even if it wears a monster's name. A creature can be dangerous and still be right. Another raven, another message, not ink this time, but a sense in my spine, brand far beyond the maps of men. A voice that isn't fully mine. No fear in it, no southern panic, just cold, clear, knowing like the snow. Leave it, do not hunt it, let it go.
If Bran can see the threads of things, he says this storm is passing through, then I will hold the wall and let the South burn in its own truth.
Sansalei, and that is enough to steady me.
Sansalei,
and I will not waste that mercy. I won't lose arrows at a stranger just because men love to hate. I'll keep my watch, I'll keep my brothers, I'll keep the darkness at the gate. Out here we measured by the My hand still trembles on the parchment edge. Family, alive, and somewhere in the wide, cruel world, a monster chose mercy and kept its distance.
I turn back to the wall. The true night is still coming.
Snow falls the way it's supposed to here, like the world is trying to be gentle. The stones of winter fell, remember me, even when I don't remember who I was. I walk the yard where I once ran laughing, now careful, quiet, because I've seen too much blood in warm places, too many holes that smile and bite. Safety feels like borrowed clothing, comfortable and hard to wear at night. I wake to silence and flinch for footsteps, still hearing doors that shouldn't close. I've learned the sound of sudden are listening, if you ever listen to girls like me, let him find peace. I pray for the stranger in the stormlight, for warrant for whatever he is, for the weight he carries in his silence, for the mercy he chose in the midst of this. Let the road be kind where it can be, let the rain stop calling out his name, let the dead release him gently, let the world forget the flame. And if he cannot be forgiven, if the scars are too deep, the sins too wide, then give him something like a sunrise somewhere far beyond the night. I touch the weirwood's bark, cold steady. Snow gathers in my hair like blessing. I don't know why he helped me. I may never know, but I know this. In a world that taught me cages, an abomination offered me a hand, and for that I ask my God to let him rest.
No war drums, no bells, only wind through wheat that isn't afraid. I found the cabin again, small timber, field stitched gold beneath the kinder sky. The door still waits in Arctic silence, that old blue wound where worlds divide. I know the way back to that whiteness, back to eyes that never judged, back to loneliness so honest it feels like truth you can't begrudge. But I have run enough for lifetimes. I have chased and been chased, and I am tired of being only consequence, only shadow, only way. So I leave the Arctic behind me, not by closing any gate, but by choosing not to walk through it, by choosing stay. The book still lives inside my memory, Victor's ink I cannot burn away. Yet even cursed pages grow quiet when you stop letting them decide your day. I tried to destroy those words once, to drown them in fire, to grind them to ash. But the truth is stitched in deeper than any paper I can smash. I am made, I am marked, I am haunted, and I will always be these things. Yet I have learned a strange forgiveness, not absolution, just breathing. Because the living still need living, and I can be more than my sin, not by erasing what I was, but by guarding what might begin. So I leave the Arctic behind me, not by closing any gate, but by choosing not to walk through it, by choosing stay. The book still lives inside my memory, Victor's ink from what's left of King's Landing, run circles in the grass, laughing like the world is simple, like storms are only clouds that pass. They climb the old fence rails beside me, bold as spring, fearless as light, and I sit like some broken watchman who finally learned the meaning of night. They do not call me demon, they do not call me miracle, they call me Warren, and that is enough. Sometimes the rain brings back the faces, William, Justine, Elizabeth. Sometimes the thunder wears my maker's laughter like a crown of distant death. But then I feel her Visenya, not as wound, not as chain, as if her hand rests on my shoulder in the spaces between the pain. I never deserved her kindness, I never earned this quiet end. But peace is not a prize for the worthy. Sometimes peace is simply the place you finally stop being your own enemy. So I leave the Arctic behind me, let the ice keep its silent throne. I have walked too far through hatred to die still walking alone. The book remains just like a scar remains, a truth I cannot disown. But I am not that lightning moment anymore. I am the cabin, I am the field, I am the watchful stone. And if Bazinho is watching, if her spirit still knows my name, then let her see what the world could not, a monster laying down the flame. I sit on the porch as evening falls. The sky turns bruised and beautiful. No pursuit, no blood, no screaming, just the sound of life moving forward. And the storm at last learning how to rest.